Good afternoon and welcome to Just One Word with Jan. It's so good to be back in the studio. Had a wonderful 2 weeks in Cyprus, but it's nice to be back with all my bits and pieces. But it's also, excuse me, wonderful to have my son staying here, and it's. You've already met my daughter. By now, you've figured out that I'm pretty proud of my children. And my daughter was on the show a couple of weeks ago. And today I'm going to introduce you to her big brother. I'm so proud of both my kids. They're both very different, as you're going to find out today. But my son and I work closely together. We work in business together. And we're very alike in a lot of ways, which is great for butting heads. But we actually respect one another too, which is great. So what can I say about my son? I mean, I can brag as a mum, but as a minister, I'm really proud of the way he conducts himself. He's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. He's involved in coaching and mentoring, and he's an author. And I'll tell you a bit about that in a little while. But I'm really proud of him, and so I want to introduce you to my son, Steve Obridge. So, hi, Steve.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So, but it's so good to have you on here because you are just such an inspiration to me, and the reason you're an inspiration to me is because you make up the lack that I have. I mean, guys, can you see how we've got different studios set up here and lights and everything? Well, that's my son who's done that. So thank you for that. So multi-talented. But tell me, first of all, Steve, tell me what you're up to now, because you have a very unusual lifestyle.
That's true. Um, First of all, thank you for having me on your show, Mum. It's always good to be here. And I've had obviously been a great time having you over with us in Cyprus, and just relaxing and spending some quality time. And yeah, I'm just looking at the studio. It's looking really great from here as well. So good job me on that one. So yeah, what am I doing at the moment? I mean, gosh, you know me, I'm always doing something. I'm so busy all the time. But also make sure that I have time to enjoy the journey too. And I guess we'll talk about that a bit later. Obviously, I'm here visiting you in Lincolnshire for a couple of weeks before going back down to London for a few days, then up to Manchester to take my son to Old Trafford to see Manchester United play. And then we fly out to Tenerife, and we're going to work from Tenerife for 3 months. Just come back from Cyprus for 3 months, and previous to that, with a little Christmas break here in between, we were in Spain for 3 months. So we're really blessed that we're able to work from pretty much anywhere we want to in the world, give or take kind of time zones and things. And so that's what we've been doing. We've been kind of enjoying the journey, really.
So why can you do that? I mean, how did it come about? And people always ask me, does he work abroad? What does he do that he works abroad? So how can you manage to do that?
Well, it's an interesting story. We were on holiday, funny enough, in Tenerife a couple of years ago. Feels maybe a bit less. It was just after COVID, and obviously we hadn't had a holiday or anything like that for a long time. And we decided that we wanted to go away as a family, and we were just in a hotel in Tenerife, just relaxing. And one of us, I can't remember who said, "Oh, wouldn't it be great to work from here all the time? It's so nice." And I kind of said, "Yeah, that would be great." And then I thought, well, actually, why can't we do that? We're fortunate that we have businesses that can be done online, whether that be by Zoom or online or passive income streams. But ultimately, they're not geographically constraining. We don't have to be in the UK. I mean, there are certain things we might have to come back for, but we don't really have to be here. So we decided, well, okay, let's do what my son calls holly work. So it's like holiday and work. You know, we 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 are working. We're away in a country like a holiday country, but we're working. But when we're not working, rather than do kind of what we did at home, which might be just sit down, watch TV, you know, go in the garden, things like that, we go and do holiday stuff. You know, we go and jet ski, or we go and go out in on a yacht, or we go and go to a water park, or whatever it is that we do, walk along the beach, or whatever it is, quad biking, or you know, whatever we feel like doing. So it's like really maximizing your work time, but also maximizing your downtime, because life is all about having balance, you know. And we talk about this a lot in our family, is that it's about having a balanced life. One of the things we've got a course coming out is about a balanced life, and you know, it's about making sure you're balanced in all areas, you know, the with your family, your friends, fun, fitness, finance, faith. All of these are important things. You need to have balance in there. But really, I think probably to answer your question is, why do we decide to do this? It was a little while ago. Unfortunately, you know, lots of people passed away during COVID, and you know, whatever people's beliefs are about that, fact is people died, and people that we know passed away in that period, not all from COVID or related, but just died. And what it was is, one of our good friends passed away at 51, and sort of same age as me. And I know probably anyone watching is going, really? You're 51? You look so young, Steve. But good genes, I always put that down to. But now they're thinking, what, Jan, you've got a 51, well, actually 52-year-old son. How can you? You're so young. but basically, sadly, this friend of ours passed away, and you know, they were working really hard towards their goals. And we've always been real grafters in our family. We work hard, we work long hours, we do whatever it takes to achieve our goals. And you know, this friend of ours was like that, you know, work really hard, and you know, inspirational and all this kind of thing. And you know, sadly, he had a undiagnosed condition, you know, collapsed one day, died, you know. And it was really sad and shocking, because really unexpected. And you know, I just thought, wow, you know, we're working really hard to achieve our goals and build for our future, um, but it's a future that we might not even get to enjoy, because it could be my time tomorrow, it could be my time in 30 years, I don't know. So it's all very well working for the future, which by the way we still do, and you should still do. But it's also for me about enjoying the journey along the way, maximizing that downtime, maximizing that family time, maximizing the art of creating memories. You know, one of the things we did in Cyprus, was we rented a yacht. So there's this beautiful yacht, it's like £250,000 yacht. And you know, I didn't drive it or anything, but you know, there's a captain, and they took you out into the lagoon, and you know, we jumped off the yacht into the freezing cold water. We swam a bit. We just enjoyed this kind of amazing lifestyle, and all our boys were with us, and it was just one of those amazing days where you thought, as my friend always says, he says, you're making memories, you know. And we were just making memories that day. And that's what we just do. We make memories, because you know, yes, making money is great, but when you make more money than you need to pay your bills and save and give and invest some, you know, the rest is extra, you know. And you don't need any more. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have more, because the more you have, the more influence you have, the more power you have, the more choice you have, the more places you can go, things you can do, you know, more impact you can make. But you don't need more, you know. And so there's a certain level of freedom in that as well. So I know that's probably a really long answer to your question, but did I answer it?
I think you did, but also a couple of things you said that I'd like to just pick up on there. You said that it's about balance, and the Bible talks about God hates an uneven balance, and we forget that sometimes, that You know, he is a balanced God, and he gave us all these different areas, and it's his will for us to do it. Some people are very out of balance. You know, everything is church, 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 and church is great, but not all the time. And other people, it's just fun, 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 and that's great, but it also wears off. You know, you've got to have a balance. And you also mentioned about you've got a course coming out soon. So tell me about courses.
Okay.
What was that?
Well, I mean, obviously, as you know, we have several businesses. Our main business, we have financial education business. So we're teaching people how to become debt free, financially independent, how to make smarter financial decisions, how to pay their mortgage off quickly, how to get out of debt quickly, how to, just plan for the future and achieve their financial goals and dreams. So that's one business. Then, we also have courses, because, people often ask me, oh, can you show me how to do this, or can you teach me that? And I'll do a training session in our business, or I'll do a training session or a coaching session with someone, and then somebody else says, well, oh, I need to know that as well. And I'm like, okay. So I got to the point where I thought, okay, I just need to record these courses. So the first course, well, first of all, I wrote my book, Mindset Skill Set, and there's a chapter in that book about programming your mindset. And then, people were asking me to expand on it, and, oh, there you go. There's the book. There you go. People asked me to expand on it. And so I thought, well, again, I can't do it one-on-one. So what I did is I created the course Mind Hacking Masterclass, which again, really went into, I wouldn't say into depth, but it was kind of in depth, but I wanted to make it really simple so that people could actually learn how to actually program or reprogram their subconscious mind so they could think differently, because how you think determines, what you do, and what you do determines your success. And so if you can understand that you're programmed, all of us are programmed from birth, basically, to think and act a certain way. And depending on the environment we're in, and the people we have surrounding us, and the people we have speaking into our lives, determines how we think, and therefore can really contribute or detract from our success. So Mind Hacking Masterclass was all about that. Then again, somebody else asked me about this another course we've just written in Cyprus, which was about mastering your time. And again, I've got it Time Hacking, Masterclass, because someone said to me, Steve, I was telling them all the things I do, and I've done this and do this and do this, and they're like, how do you fit this all in? How do you get your brain working in all these different areas all the time? It's like, how does that work? How do you keep track of it? And I said, well, it's just time management. I mean, at the end of the day, we all have 168 hours in every single week, unless it's your last week, then you may have less, but 168 hours. And some people become billionaires, using their time, and other people stay broke. And so it can't be time that prevents people from achieving those goals and dreams. And so, I put together another course, which I'm going to releasing probably in the next couple of weeks, which is going to just be a thing you can add on, Time Hacking Masterclass for like minimal amount, really. And so that was something that we just brought out. And of course, after that, we have plans for Balanced Life as well. And, depending on, how things go with those courses, we may bring some other things too. But at the end of the day, it's funny. All I've done is create things that people ask me to. They say, oh, how do I do this? Okay, well, let me create something so you can do it at your own pace. You can look at your own pace. It's ridiculously affordable, so anybody can do it. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the courses, really. It's I'm just reacting, really, responding, I should say, to what people have asked me to do. So yeah.
So I'm running across the bottom of the screen the Mindset Skill Set email URL, so people can get a copy of the Mindset Skill Set book if they'd like. And we've got Phil in the chat. and he's like, woo, yeah, mindset skill set. So Phil,
I was
carry on.
actually on Phil's radio program a little while ago, actually. So,
Oh, were you?
but also,
Okay,
just so you know,
so
Mindset Skill Set is free. I mean, you can buy it on Amazon and you can pay money for a paperback. But my goal when I wrote this book was not to sell books. You know, my goal was to impact. In fact, the first part of the book, I describe how, you know, I wrote this book because one day I was just thinking about, well, first of all, people asked me to expand on things and sort of asked me a long time to write something. And I'd always been told, why don't you write a book? Because, you know, it raises your profile and it's like a big business card. And I never really wanted to do that. I wanted to write something that actually did something. It wasn't just, oh, I wrote a book. I wanted something that helped people. I wanted something that impacted, but also, you know, I'm a dad and I love being a dad and I love coaching my boys. And I really thought, well, I want something that I can leave as a legacy so that in the years and decades to come, when, you know, my son and or my sons and their children and their grandchildren, you know, are asking, well, what would great granddad Steve have taught us if he was still alive? They can go, well, actually, it's in this book. You know, here you can learn about managing your time and auditing your time and maximizing your time. You can learn about mindset. You can learn about becoming a habitual goal achiever. You can learn about all these different things, selecting the ideal business and looking at what you need to look at. All these things are in the book because these are the lessons that I want to teach my great grandchildren if I'm not here, you know. So that you don't have to pay money for it. I mean, if you want to get a paperback, go to Amazon. Definitely just search Mindset Skill Set. No doubt you'll find it there. But, you know, we teach people how to be smart with money. You know, if you're happy reading on an ebook, just go get it for free, you know.
yeah, well, I read both. I've got the paper.
You've read them a lot. You've read them many times. You proofread them a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the blessing. I do get to read some great books as I proofread. But yeah, now there's another book that you're giving away at the moment as well, isn't there? Which is to do with your business. Now, you know, I have to say that it's really for people in the UK because it's based on the UK economy. The concepts, however, are really for everybody, aren't they?
Yeah, universal for sure.
Yeah. So, well, actually, I don't know if you know, but I got a little. I'm going to play a little mini advert.
Ready to take your financial freedom to the next level? Introducing our free ebook, Your Journey to Financial Freedom. Learn the concepts to set you free financially, principles to live by, secrets to financial freedom, understanding money, and how to win the money game. Download your free ebook now and start your journey to financial freedom today. https://www.financialfreedombook.co.uk.
So there you go. I'm running that along the bottom of the screen now. That's a book which basically.
Which I didn't write, by the way, just to be clear. I didn't write that book. It was one of our mentors that wrote that book. But yeah, it's packed with, I mean, just one of the concepts in that book, if you apply it, you know, can be a game changer for you. You know, I was massively in debt before I started doing this business about 15 years ago. I had 95,000 in personal debt. I did all the clever things with money, you know, like balance transfers and consolidation and all the things I thought were clever to get out of debt or shuffle my money around. But in reality, I was struggling financially, had massive debt. I looked successful, but in reality, I just wasn't. Started learning a lot of the principles that are shared in that book, became debt free within just a few years. And now, you know, we kind of have what we like to call the 3 F's or the 3 freedoms, you know, financial, location, and time freedom. So, and again, a lot of that is due to this book. Again, it's free. You just go there, put your email in, and it gets sent to you. Simple as that.
So just elaborate a little bit on these 3 freedoms. So
really just that, you you know, everybody, when you ask people what they're looking for, they often give you all kind of different scenarios and you know, things or goals, but ultimately they often come down to that they want freedom. You know, I want to make more money. Well, why? Because I want to go on more holidays. I want to get out of debt. Why? Well, because I don't want to be under the thumb of the creditor. You know, I want to sack my boss because I want more flexibility. Why? To spend more time with my family. I want freedom. None of us really want to be under the thumb of a boss. You know, we might love our job, but when we're in a job, we're really trading time for money, right? So we're always at the behest of our employer, you know, and so freedom was something that was really important to me and my family. I love spending time with them. It's my favorite thing to do. So how do we get more freedom? Well, in order to get more time freedom, we needed to make more money. So we had to find ways of adding additional income streams. You know, we had a good income stream, but then we decided we're going to add some more, you know, because having all your eggs in one basket is not normally the smartest thing. So we decided we're going to add more income streams to our lives. So we did that. We added 2 or 3 more, which meant that we had more money, which meant that we now had some more flexibility. We didn't have to be in certain places. We didn't have to go to work and things like go to jobs and things like that. So that was the financial freedom element gave us the more of the time freedom element. Now, having businesses that can be done online, so choosing the income producing businesses that we did enabled us to have location freedom because they weren't dependent on geography. So it meant that we were able to work from anywhere. So that's really where we got the 3 freedoms from. But it's funny, you know, someone, you know, I've had people come and speak to me, you know, Christians particularly, who've said, "Oh, but you know, it's all about making money," you know, and I'm like, well, look, I'm a very simple person. You know me, Mum. I'm not super spiritual. I don't, you know, kind of read into things. I'm just very practical, right? And I'm logical. And so for me, it's really simple. You know, the Bible says that God gave us the ability to create wealth. So that is an ability that he gave us. We all have the ability. And people go, "Oh, well, I struggle to make money. I don't get opportunity. I don't," there's all excuses. But God gave us the ability to create wealth. So why did God give us an ability to create wealth if there was no need for an ability to create wealth? Because the Bible says that money answereth all things. Money answers all things. The gospel is free, but it costs money to distribute it. This information on here, this setup today is free, but it costs money to get the camera, to get the computer, to get the lights. It costs money to subscribe to the software to stream. Okay, the information is free, but it costs money to provide it out. Now, there isn't a charge on this, but thankfully other things fund this. This is a way we can sow and give to people. But the bottom line is we have the ability to create wealth because money answers all things, because God knows that money is the thing that gives you the freedom and the time to do the things that you need to do. You know, maybe you're in ministry, but you don't have enough time to do your ministry because you're too busy, because you've got to have a day job, because you've also got a mortgage, right? And so if you had an income stream, if you had more money, if you didn't have to go to a 9-to-5 job driving a bus or whatever, then you could spend more time doing the very thing that God has called you to do. So money is really important. You know, I think it was Zig Ziglar that said, you know, money is the second most important thing. Was it? The first was oxygen, the second was money, or something like that. I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something like that. But it's important.
Well, the Bible talks about money pretty much more than it talks about most other things, because, and of course, money represents life. And so when God's talking about money, he's talking about our life is represented by money. I've just realized that wonderful screen that you had up there. I didn't turn off the actual screensaver.
Oh,
so. My son's trying to educate me. And I was trying to surreptitiously do it there, but I realized that I need to log back in again.
Just ask me a
Never
question
mind.
and then you can get on with it.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm real. You know, this is me. I'm real. And but a couple of the things that that you've mentioned that I want to kind of pick up on. First of all, you said about experiences, and I know that for me, growing up, as you guys were growing up, we didn't have a lot. Your dad was in the army, so we weren't wealthy, but that was kind of key to me to give you experiences, and of course, most experiences do cost money. Um, but we didn't have a lot, but we gave you what we could in the way of experiences because we felt that that was a wealth that we could sow into you. But I wonder how many parents there have been that have said, oh, you know, I'd love to be able to do that with my children. We were blessed because we were in the army. If you kids had something that we needed to be at, we could get time to go. You know, it was just unless dad was deployed somewhere. But generally, if something's going on in school, if people are in a JOB, they can't get the time off to go to school to go and watch. I mean, how many times have I been the one at my granddaughter's school sports day because mum and dad were working, you know?
Yeah. And yet for me, I've been to every sports day, every play, everything. I was always the parent dropping my son off at school. I didn't, you know, I didn't, it wasn't like pull up, open the door, throw the kids out, drive off to work. I would go early. I'd wait till he went in. You know, I'd be early in the playground to pick him up. I didn't have those constraints. And, you know, people say, oh, but you're so lucky that you're able to do that. You're so lucky, Steve. Well, you know, there's a saying that, you know, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And it's like, no, I wasn't lucky. I planned. You know, one of the things we talk about in our family is about designing your own life, that we have the ability to design our own life, because the problem is most people don't know what they actually want. I can't remember who said it. I think it was a poet. He said, I can show anybody how to get what they want. The problem is I can't find anybody that knows what they want. And I find that that's often the problem when I'm coaching people. I ask, you know, the question, what are your goals? And they say, oh, you know, I'm not really sure. Oh, I want a bigger house. Okay, great. What kind of house? Oh, I'm not really sure. Well, where do you want it? Oh, I don't know really. Well, how many bedrooms is it going to have? What is it going to have? A garden? You don't know enough about it. One of the things I always say is that, you know, in order to get your goals, you must become an expert in the thing that you desire. You need to know what it is you want. And we're very blessed right now. We have things like Google that you can literally ask it anything and find out whatever you want. If you want to know how much it is to get something, you can do it. Like one of our goals this year is to go to, well, we're discussing going to Mauritius for a period of time. And before I even have booked anything or planned everything, you know this, Mum, I've looked at pretty much every available rental property there. I've looked at what flights are going to cost on this day, on this day. I know what plane we're going to fly on. You know, it's a Boeing 777, by the way, if you're interested. But it is, you know, I spoke to my son about the plane and how this was different. I know that it's a just under 12-hour flight. I know the time difference. I know all of these things. I know what the internet speed is. I know the different areas. Why? Because it's something that I'm looking at doing. So what have I done? As I've said, right, I've set an objective, I've set an intention, I've set a goal. Now I need to become an expert in the thing that I desire. So now I've looked at these things so I can plan it properly. Because, you know, one thing it takes if you're going to go to somewhere like Mauritius is money. 3 tickets, 800 to £1,000 each. That costs money, you know. So what visas do you need or not need, right? So there's all these questions you need to ask. And the problem is, most people don't ask the right questions. So therefore, if you don't ask the right questions, you don't get the right answers. I think it's John Maxwell wrote a book that says, good leaders ask great questions. And it is about asking the right questions of yourself. What is it you want to achieve in your life? Whether that be your spiritual life, whether it be your physical life, whether it be your work life, your family life, you know, your fitness, your health life. in your life, what do you want to achieve? Get clear, get clarity, get a clear, what's called a clear, concise mental picture, or we call a CCMP, is how Andrew Carnegie puts it. Have a clear, concise mental picture of the thing that you want, and then formulate a strategy, put a plan together, find out what it is that you actually need to do, so that then you can put that into action. You know, so you need a clear, concise mental picture. You need a clear, robust strategy or plan. And finally, and probably most importantly, you need a burning desire to achieve your goals. You need to want it. You know, you need to want it so bad. Like when people come and work with me in our business, you know, I say, look, we can give you the how to, but you've got to bring the want to. We can't make you want it. Sometimes it's really frustrating because I find I want it for people more than they want it for themselves. It's like, come on, you can achieve your goals. Just do ABC. And oh, I'm too busy. It's too hard. Yes, it's hard. You know what? Becoming financially free is hard. Becoming successful is hard. Growth is hard. But you know what? It's worth it. Anything that's worth having is worth working for. It takes effort. If you put the effort in and you work hard and you work smart with a clear, concise mental picture, with a clear, robust strategy, backed up with a burning desire, you can achieve anything you want to achieve in this life.
So you mean that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme then?
Look, anything to get rich quick scheme. Well, you know what? There are get rich quick schemes out there. And it doesn't mean they're schemes or scams. I mean, there are some ways of getting rich quick. Like, for example, if you become a YouTube creator and you happen to produce a video that goes viral and gets 10 million views, you're going to make a lot of money really quickly. The problem is most people don't get that on their first video. Maybe they get it on their 121st video. You know, you're one video away from becoming a millionaire, but you might take you 527 videos to find the one that gets you there. Problem is, most people give up after 5. You know, so yeah, you can get rich quick or relatively quick. You can achieve success quickly if you get the right thing, if you know, invest in the right business, invest in the right whatever. But for most people, it takes time, it takes effort, and it certainly takes work at the beginning. You know, I always talk about the 3 zones of your business. That the first part of your business, when you have a business, is that you put loads of work and effort into it, okay, but for very little return. So like we've got some things we're working on where we're putting in effort, we're trying different things out, and we're not getting a big return on it. Then we've got other things we put effort into and we've got a return really quickly. And it's like, wow, this is easy. But it's not always easy. Sometimes you've got to try something and it doesn't work. So you try something else. It doesn't work. But here's the key. Don't give up. Just keep trying. You know, you're one opportunity away from a success. But the problem is most people go, oh, well, I tried something once and it didn't work. Well, maybe you need to try 26 things. I tried this, but it didn't work. Well, especially with business, you know, you can work 40 years in a career and retire and probably have a terrible pension that doesn't give you the lifestyle that you want. Or you can spend 40 years trying to find the thing that gives you an incredible retirement. I don't know. I think the answer is pretty obvious what you should do. I mean, if you are satisfied with your life right now, don't change anything. But most people I speak to say, I want more. And here's the thing, Mum. You know this. More comes from growth. So what I mean by that is, if you want more savings, if you want more time, if you want more freedom, if you want more, well, earning your 9-to-5 salary typically doesn't get you that. You need more. So if you're making, let's say, $2,000 a month, that $2,000 a month goes to your bills, goes to your gas, your electric, goes to your mortgage, etc. You don't get growth from the money that you use to live. That's called we know this phrase, making a living, right? We make a living from our salary, right? Growth doesn't come from making a living. Growth comes from extra. Growth comes from more. If you want more, you need extra. You need extra income. You need extra time. If you want more out of your relationship with your spouse or your children, you need more time to spend with them. So more money gives you more time. So I know most people, an extra £1,000 a month, $1,000 a month, or wherever you are, would make a massive impact in your life. An extra £1,000. Think about it. If you're watching this, what would you do with an extra 1,000? You know, I'm sure you can think of some things. So if you've got some goals that you want that an extra 1,000 would get you, what are you doing to get the extra 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000? What are you doing to get it? Are you looking for an opportunity? Did you find an opportunity that didn't work for you, so you gave up on opportunities? Or did you find 3 opportunities, they didn't work for you, you gave up? Well, giving up guarantees you don't get your goals. It guarantees it. So don't give up. Go again. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and continue, because that's what winning takes. That's what success takes. So if you want success, you've got to work for it. If you want success, if you want extra or you want more, you need extra. Okay? Our business is just one way that you can do that. If you're in the UK, you want to make an extra 1,000, 2,000, we are a way that you can do that. Now, are we the way? No, we're a way. It could be that we're not the way for you, or it could be that we're the way that you've been looking for. But you don't know if you don't look. And hope is okay. But just as a side note, if you want to know what it is we actually do and how it works, just drop a link or drop I don't know. I guess you'll ask them to connect with you somehow. Connect with us. Connect with me on social media. Look, I'm easy to find. Our surname Obridge is not very common. Just type Obridge in YouTube, in Facebook or YouTube or anywhere, and you'll find us. And connect with us and say, Steve, what is this thing you do? Maybe it can be for me. I'll send you a link. Have a look. If it's not for you, no problem. Guess what? You've just identified this is not one that you're looking for, and you can tick it off your list. But don't stop. Go and find the next one. Or if it is the one, get involved and give it everything you've got. It's that simple. I mean, I said I was a simple person. That's how simple it is to me.
Okay, I'm just going to play a song and then we'll come back and look at some more.
With my hands lifted high, oh God, the battle belongs
Okay, that was Dave Bell. People are quite used to me playing Dave Bell on this program because I love him. Yeah, now the business that you're talking about, the financial education business, is only for people that have the right to work in UK, right?
Yeah, at the moment it's just a UK business because obviously it's a regulated business. So, there are certain rules and things that the government puts in place. So yeah, that is a business particularly for UK residents, or if somebody is abroad, but like like I am most of the time, but they're still got a UK bank account and still allowed to work and have a business in the UK, then yep, that's fine. But yeah, like I've got somebody on my team who's in another country but they're a UK resident, they're a British passport holder. But yeah, they just it is for them at the
Yeah,
moment. At the moment,
at the moment.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Steve, you're a Christian, and you've been a Christian, well, a lot of years now. Um, a lot of people think that being in business is really hard for a Christian. So, how does being a Christian speak into your business?
You know, it's like being anything. Your character is key. If you have a good character, if you're honorable, if you do the right thing for people, if your motive is good, and you can have a motive to make money, but you don't do it by ripping people off, right? I always say that integrity is not something you turn on and off like a tap. You can't say, well, I'm going to have integrity on Sundays and on the weekend, but during the week I'm going to rip people off because I want to make money. That's just not the way to be. So I think for me, it's two things. Number one, and this is a lot to do with how we were raised, by you and dad, is that, we have this innate built-in mechanism in our mindset to go after justice for people, for ourselves, for other people. You know me, there's not many things that upset me, but when something is unjust, it's unfair, someone's being treated badly, that just pushes my buttons. So that's just one of the things that I think is a built-in thing, for me. But I think that, whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, a believer or not a believer, look, you should act with honor and integrity. It's funny, isn't it? Honor is a word that we don't really hear that often in this day and age. But for me, being honorable is an important thing. Now, you know, do I communicate things well all the time? No. Do I upset people because maybe I'm too honest? Sometimes, yes. But my intention is never to do that. My intention is to just help. I remember being in a company many years ago, and when I'm involved in something, I mean, I'm a company man. I would work really hard for the company, and it wasn't about me; it was about us. I've always been like that, and until something changes that, then that's how I am. And I just always believe that you just do your best, because if you're going to do something, just do the best that you can. Do it with honor, do it with integrity. And here's the thing, not everyone's going to see that. See, some people might just assume that, oh, well, you're just doing it for this, or just to, and it used to really bother me, and I'd get really defensive about it. Well, you don't know. How can you say that? You don't know me. But when you know something that you know that you know that you know, you just have peace. One of the things that I say a lot is that when you have clarity, you have peace. When you know who you are, when you know where you're going, where you know where you're coming from, you have peace. And so, as you know, Mum, we had a few challenges in the last couple of years that previously would have been a big problem for me. I mean, it would have been stressful. It would have been something that really probably angered me, because I wear my heart on my sleeve. That's how I am. But when this particular challenge happened, I was just so relaxed about it. It's like, hey, if this is the end of this particular part of my journey in this particular area, okay, no problem. Because you know what? I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. I know where I'm going. I've got clear, concise goals. I've got great support. I've got great friends. I've got just confidence in who I am and where I am. And when you have that, you have peace. I don't do things to impress people. I don't do things to make myself feel big or special or better than anybody else. That just doesn't do it for me. For me, I look at what am I trying to achieve for myself and my family. Now, I'm fortunate that I'm in a business that enables me to do that by helping other people. And a lot of people will tell you, oh, if you just focus on helping lots of people, you can be successful. Look, I've got to be honest, guys, that it's normally successful people that say that. When they've made their millions, and they all talk about, well, once you start serving people, then you can be successful. Look, yes, you should serve people. Absolutely. But for me, and I think probably for most business people, your number one priority is to achieve goals for yourself and your family. Me as a parent, as a partner, it's my responsibility to provide for my family and for my future generations. And I can serve people all day long and get nothing for it. I mean, look, if you want to just help people, there's loads of people that need help. But it doesn't mean you're going to make a lot of money. I've seen people that are so focused on helping others that they're not even helping their own family. They're so focused on in looking the part by feeding the poor or helping the homeless or, and sometimes videoing it. And yet they don't have a great relationship with their children. As you know, Mum, I was in a situation where, I've been married before and we broke up and, my ex decided to abduct my son and take him to another country. I mean, that was tough. That was mentally draining. But this is where faith comes in. Even though everything seemed to be against me, the country, the language, the massive expense that, had to find £70,000 in 5 months, for legal fees and what have you. Everything seemed to be stacked against me, but that's when faith comes in. I remember thinking, I'm a smart guy. I can do what my let's call it enemy, the other party, is doing and manufacture evidence. But then this voice inside me said, but that's not integrity. That's not honorable. And so I had a word with God about it and said, well, I'm going to choose to trust you, to trust that you have your hand on this. And I'm going to do everything with honor and integrity through this whole process. No matter how hard it is, I'm going to keep trusting. And I'll be honest, sometimes when the tide seemed to be going the wrong way, I'd kind of look up and I'd say, how's things going, God? I'm trusting you. It doesn't look good right now, but I'm choosing to trust you, even though it's really hard. I'm choosing to trust you despite the fact that I miss my son and I cry at the drop of a hat because I can't see him and I can't talk to him. I choose to trust you, even though I can't see the end of the tunnel. I can't see the solution. It just seems to go on and on and on. Maybe there's some people watching out there now that it's the same sort of thing. Maybe they're in a situation where it just doesn't seem to be getting anywhere. There doesn't seem to be a light at the end of the tunnel. They can't see how to get out of their situation. But my experience is that God doesn't let you down. You just have to trust. And you keep trusting and you keep trusting. And I always remember that scripture in Ephesians. And Mum, I'm not great at remembering where scriptures are in the Bible, but I know them because I've heard them so much. But I think it's in Ephesians, it says, having done all to stand, stand. And for me, it was always that scripture that I learned probably as a teenager, having done all to stand, and you stand. And then I remember somebody preached it years ago. And then when you stand, then you just stand some more. Yeah, but I'm fed up standing. I'm tired. Yeah, but you just got to stand. I know, but can't I just sit down for a bit? No, no, you have to stand. So you stand and you stand and you stand. Or as the billionaire Art Williams says it, you do it and you do it and you do it and you do it until the job gets done. You stand and you stand and you stand until you get the result, until God finally gives you that victory. You know, and that's what happened with us. So we stood and we stood and we stood and we stayed faithful, we stayed honorable, we stayed trusting, and then we got the victory. My son was returned, and not just returned. You see, God so often, when you stand and you trust, gives you above and beyond what you can hope and expect and wish for. And so for us, I was fighting to get back my, 10 hours a week, my 2 days a week, every other week. I was fighting to get back just what I'd lost. The small time that I had, I wanted that back. And I end up getting not just every other weekend back and half holidays, I end up getting full time. My son came back to me, lives with me to this day since then, full time, 24 hours a day, every single day. When you stand, when you trust, when you have faith, God comes through, even when it doesn't feel like it sometimes. And look, sometimes we don't understand why it takes so long. But faith is not instant. It's just a decision that you have to make. Faith really comes down to a decision. It's black and white. You either believe and trust, or you don't believe and trust. You can't say, well, I believe and trust in the big things, and I don't believe and trust in the small things. I believe God can heal cancer, but I don't believe he can heal a headache. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, and I always love this, when I remember my mum was telling me she went to see a client one time in our financial education business, and this person, we were talking about life cover and insurance and protecting their family, because protecting your family means that you provide for your future generations. When you have insurance, when you have a life insurance policy, it means that you're saying, I love you enough that if I die, I am replaced by money, so you do not lack. Most people leave burden and stress and lack behind. They don't leave blessing. And so I remember my mum was talking to this person, and they said, well, I trust God to provide for my family if I die. I trust God, that's why I don't need to pay for insurance, because I trust God. God is my insurance. And it sounds good, and it sounds spiritual, and it sounds like faith, right? But then looking for this person's finances, they'd taken a loan out to buy a car. Well, you can't say, well, I trust God to provide hundreds of thousands of pounds to pay the mortgage off and the debt off and provide for the funeral and replace my income. I trust God to that, but I couldn't trust God for the £10,000 for the car. I had to borrow that from the bank. You can't have it both ways. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with borrowing. You can borrow. It's okay. As long as it's affordable, as long as you do your research and you find you pay it back and you don't overextend yourself, nothing wrong with those things, It's about being smart, because there's good debt and there's bad debt and so on. And there's a whole nother story. But ultimately, you have to understand that you've got to trust God. Having done all, stand some more. Trust some more. Believe some more. Have more faith. Because and again, I look at this from a spiritual perspective, but also practical, and the Bible says that, and again, I don't know the exact scripture, but even faith the size of a mustard seed, but with no doubt can move mountains, right? So and that's the same believing in God or whatever you believe. You've got to believe and believe and believe and trust and trust and trust, but no doubt. Do not doubt. Doubt is the thing that stops you from achieving the things you need to. And that's not just in spiritual things, that's also in physical things. It's like if you're trying to jump into a swimming pool and you don't know if you can swim or not, and you jump in and you're thinking, oh, can I swim? Can I swim? Do I float? Do I float? You know that if you jump in a pool and you don't think you're going to float, and so you panic and start splashing around, you probably sink. But if you jump in and you just trust that there's a natural buoyancy to your body, and if you just relax, you're naturally going to float to the surface. You trust, you relax into that, you end up floating. And then you float. Now you know that you float. Now you are confident that when you get in the water again, you're going to float, because that's just the way it works, right? And that's the same with faith.
Right. Well, we have run out of time. So,
Not like us.
No, it's not like us at all. Thank you so much. I haven't had time to play the music that I normally play today, but it was so good. I wanted to let you run because it was good stuff. I've put an email address at the bottom of the screen, steve@mindsetskillset.net. And if you'd like to, if you're in England, UK, I mean, and you'd like to know more about the business, just email steve@mindsetskillset.net, and he'll respond to you and tell you how you can find about it.
Or connect on Facebook.
I'm just going to play us out
whatever.
the last 30 seconds with Passover from Dave Bell, because it's coming up to Easter. Happy Easter, everybody.
Remembering the spotless Lamb, I will not be bound by threats of man. I will paint the blood above my door. As for me and my house, we serve the Lord. When evil prowls our city streets, I will fight this fight from bended knee. I will sing the song of saints before. As for me and my house, we serve the Lord. The plague that seeks to take my breath cannot destroy my confidence. Beneath his wings I am secure. As for me and my house, we serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we serve the Lord. Under the blood, the curse is broken. When darkness comes, he will pass over me. By the power Christ has given me, I will paint the blood above my door. As for me and my house, we serve the Lord. As for